Hello my quilting friends! My name is Leah Day and welcome back to one last video on my Christmas tree quilt. So I am actually playing with QCT, that's our computerized quilting software, and I am stitching out some of my maximized feather blocks over the stars that I put in the background of this quilt. So there's going to be a few steps along the way. Really the emphasis here is on placing designs on the diagonal, so taking a square block and putting it on point, figuring out your sizing, and kind of just going from there, figuring out what you want and experimenting a little bit in order to get the design placed and looking exactly how you'd like it on your quilt. So let's get started learning how to stitch some feather blocks with QCT. Okay, so here is Quilter's Creative Touch 5, and I have upgraded to Pro, but you should know that this is going to be the same whether you have Pro or Beginnings level software. And I'm going to hit Select and Sew. I have already set my safe area. Now you would come in and this is what the screen that you would normally see with your designs. I have added new designs, my Maximize Feather blocks, so I'm going to tap on that, and that's how I get to these designs that I have added to my QCT software. So I'm going to use the Teardrop Flower. Open that up. And this is the thing that I really wanted to teach you in this video. I want this to stitch out on point. So right now it's 7.4 inches. If I rotate it, it's going to take that 7.4 inches and put it on point, and it will now become 10.4 inches. That's pretty large. You know, that might be just a little bit big for your quilt. So whenever you go to then change it, let's say I want to change it to 9 inches, it's going to go back to rotated and be square again. So this is one of those important things, kind of a little bit of a bug. You're going to need to play with this and figure out, okay, what is going to translate to the right size of the design as a square and then rotate it to be on point. So I'm going to play around with this. I'm going to hit 5 and then rotate it. That makes it 7 inches. Let's go up to 6.5. Hit OK and then rotate, and now it's 9 inches. So, you know, here on the quilt itself, how do we know what that's going to look like? Well, I'm going to grab a ruler, and if we're starting in the center, and this design does start in the center, and I know that the design is roughly 9.1 inches, let's just say that's 9 inches. Well, if I measure with my ruler out here 4.5 inches, then I know that the end of the design is going to come out to about right there. So using a ruler and just kind of gauging it, you know, putting that ruler on your quilt and saying, okay, well, there's the 4.5 inch mark. That's where that design's going to bottom out. You know, if that sounds like a good idea, it's ready to go. So I like that. I like that placement. I'm going to get this centered up here right in the middle of this block. And then I'm going to tap my node here, and that's going to pop it into position. So we are ready to stitch. So all I'm going to do now is hit Quilt. It's going to pop us over to the next screen, and we're going to pull up our bobbin. So it's going to link in now. Quilt motion pops into my monitor down here underneath my tablet, and it's going to take a single stitch, and then it's going to move the machine away. And I just grab that bobbin thread, just pulls up a loop, grab that loop, that's my bobbin thread, and then I'm going to hit sew. And now this is going to stitch out. As you guys know how QCT works, this is going to stitch out automatically. I don't have to do anything except for hang on to these threads here right at the beginning, make sure they don't get sucked to the back of the quilt or into the machine, and pretty much that's it. And I love how this turns out, how this looks on the quilt over these glitter fabrics. Now, you might be wondering, this was really kind of an experiment. This is Angelina, and Angelina sticks to itself. So I was experimenting with, would it work to turn Angelina into fabric and actually piece with it? And the answer is, no, not really. It doesn't really work all that great. But hey, it was a fun experiment, and I enjoy seeing how it turned out. I think I need to press this with my iron, but part of the reason why I wanted to get all of this stitched is so it stops being quite so hairy on the surface of the quilt and gets a little bit more stabilized. I think stitching over it is definitely going to help. So I'm going to let this stitch out and I'll show you a picture whenever it's finished. So that's it for this video. I hope you learned a lot and you're excited about giving this a try. If you'd like to learn more about my quilting setup, my Unique 21, my Continuum frame, and QCT automation software, you can learn more about it at leaday.com/grace. I am a Grace Company dealer and you can find all of these products and many more at leaday.com/grace. Until next time, let's go quilt.